Ebrahim, Alinia, Ahandani from Sama branch Azad University in Iran.
Hello, do you hear me now?
Hi. Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much. So a little biography of Dr. Ahandani. He has a PhD in biochemistry from Payam University in Tehran, Iran. He's currently living in Lahijan city of Iran. He's teaching as a university teacher and doing a lot of subjects and topics in biology in Sama branch University. He has graduated in plant biology and did a lot of work and collaboration in this field. And he's been working on the effect of herbs on various disorders, toxicity and toxic metals, thyroid hormones, and cancer in PhD course in Payam University. Especially, he's interested in working in herbs generated medicines or herbal drug, which tend all new future drug mostly. Dr. Ebrahim Alinia has published around 70 papers in various journals and 30 conference papers which were presented in Iran and international places. He has participated in some international and national events in biological fields. He's published 3 books related to oncology and herbs and fatty liver mechanism. He's ending preparation of a book in the subject of new methods in genetic sequencing. And The title of his speak today is The Effect of Some Medicinal Plant on Pregnancy, an overview of world health care. Okay. Hi, Dr. Ali.
Dear Doctor, first hello to you and thanks a lot, and I appreciate a lot for trying and collaborating your nice information today, and Mr. Krishna for his nice and kind performance forever, and for last event that I've attended, that was great too for me and all what is that they were hearing me too. Uh, at the first, I want to talk around that. Please share my presentation if it's not a problem for you.
No, it's not a problem. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. At the first, I want to ask this question to everybody that how we try to make our diets okay for against of maybe this disorder and the practicing against of this disease can be so impressive for everybody. In the last event, I've told around herbs and drugs generally for banning and trying to prevent this disease, absolutely for Alzheimer. And now I'm trying to focus on and concentrating on dementia mostly, as well as the others. Please let me go on other slide and I'll explain mostly on that slide, please. Uh, this was as effects of some medicinal plants on pregnancy and overview of world healthcare and Alzheimer perspective. I've concentrated completely and surely on some herbs that they're so effective, and their effectiveness on pregnant people can be used and applied for our future drugs and maybe nutrition tips and healthcare rules in the future for telling and caring of all pregnant people can be very useful. And now, for confirmation of them, we need to spread and try to extend this information for all bodies that are hearing and talking around of them. And now, you know, Iran has a lot of big capacity of using these drugs, and now I'm not against of chemical drugs, you know, but I just believe that we must try to mix and share them together. And after reformulating and trying to solve all problems for making great diet, we can omit a lot of bad effects and completely negative side effects of them in the period of pregnancy and for health of our human. Okay, anyway, and next slide, please.
Okay. Just can you please talk a little louder, please?
Now I'm just hold my loud is high, but I don't know why I couldn't share that. And I'll make it louder, but excuse me. And for
Okay.
next slide, can
Yes.
thank you. As you know, herbal perspective in the world. Okay, I've chosen some items that I want to tell mostly. The first is herbal drugs are as part of many systematic healthcare around the world. WHO reported estimating of 80% of the world's people rely on medicinal plants and usage of them for their chores and daily activities. The prevalence of mild to severe in the public population over 65 is 5%, and the people over 85 is 20% to 40%, and for those residing in nursing home, it's 50%. That they're making a change a little by every year, and now, unfortunately, we're increasing this bad amount of percentages because of our losing knowledge in this part. And now 46 million people have dementia and their rate increases, doubles every 2 years. And this will reach to 74 and around 131 million people in 2030 and 2050. In the last event that I've told, that these statistics that I've told coming to be increased day by day because of the people lack of knowledge. Because just some special papers are trying to report them, and we don't have enough information for all spread of the worldwide. And now I think this is coming to be around 20 million more than these statistics. According to estimates, until 2030, about 30 million people, and by 2050, about 45 million people around the world are affected by Alzheimer's disease, as you know better. And although the application of medicinal plants and herbs for pregnant has quadrupled in the last 20 years, like other applications. Reports of toxicity caused by herbs or medicinal plants have remained in low levels. And Dr. Norzi, as you know, the others, I'm trying to do a lot of experiments on the toxicity and effects of toxicity on the herbs of this area and region. And now this is very great for me to tell that the people who were using the medicinal plants and completely poisoning medicinal plants, that they were be polluted by heavy metals, they haven't had any good results of their good pregnancy, and after that they've had a lot of unknown problems and disorders in this area that was so awful, but this is real and fact. And Iran should not be excluded from this situation. The failure in the early diagnosis caused the loss of valuable opportunities to improve the quality of life in millions of people with dementia. As you know, the neuron negative and side effects of them can be the harmful disaster that can make other parts of diseases after maybe the primitive effects of the neurological disease. And in Iran, as well as the other countries, the age population is growing now. We're coming to be minus and negative birth rate of Iran can be another bad effects of this part too, and it's adding on our bad problems. It's expected that 9% of the elderly pregnant in Iran and all parts of the world will be affected by this over the next 2-3 decades. And using of the herbs by pregnant females increasing additionally by the secure of photos, and maybe absolutely for the personal secure of the females by themselves. We know that the people completely, and especially the pregnant people, are using a lot, but they haven't had. And now about the negative and side effects of the herbs in this area and in Iran, like as the other parts of the world, the total cost of the medicinal plants and health care for affected people with Alzheimer's disease is 3 times greater than the other people, and the main cause of unknown but age genetic and some non-genetic factors that a lot of our scientists told in this webinar and play major roles in the progression of the disease in women. And next slide, please, Doctor. Okay, now I've focused on three main parts of the paper that they had told something in 2018 until 2020. The first study of factors related to herbal medicines usage in pregnant women in the Iran Northern by Abdullahi and co-workers in 2018 had shown 77% of the people before and after pregnancy they were using or unusing the medicinal plants. And you know here the blue charts are used and the red ones are unused parts of that. In 77 before pregnancy and during pregnancy we're using. And you know, and here it's clear that after pregnancy they were added completely the usage of herbs for themselves. And the second study of some factors related to use of herbal medicine during pregnancy in Saudi Arabia by Johan and co-workers 2020 had shown that like as the other ones, they unfortunately had used mostly a lot of medicinal plants before pregnancy and after during the pregnancy completely shout that lack of any information and knowledge here completely are clear and because of this lack they haven't had any clear and obvious insights of using these medicinal plants for themselves. And it's like herbal medicine usage in infertility care seekers in Sierra Leone by James and co-workers 2018 had shown mostly 63% of them hadn't used, and after pregnancy they tried to start using of them, and now you can see a lot of various statistics that they are not very clear that why they added or they hadn't started to add medicinal plants, and they couldn't make any good planning for themselves that high, and maybe why they are using this very impressive capacities of the drugs for themselves, and why they hadn't tried to focus on that they can make or a lot of rebuilding on their babies in the future too. And the third slide here, you can see completely these parts, and this is very impressive that a lot of developed countries like us, Australia and United States and Russia are reusing a lot of medicinal plants for themselves and their pregnant people were using, and the other statistics here are completely showing the usage of them in the parts, like a study of herbal medicines usage during pregnancy in the women in Malaysia, and in 2007 that had shown like as Iran, they hadn't used completely of them, but after pregnancy they started to use mostly more and more. And in the following slides, I've told why they try to use mostly and how they use it. Okay, and next slide, if you let me to touch, yes. Dementia-related illness in pregnant, we must know that they could make other disorders like as Alzheimer's disease, Lewy body dementia, vascular dementia, multi-infract dementia, medication imbalance, alcohol or drugs, and other syndromes that you know, Parkinson, tumor, head injury, nutritional, environmental effects, and if some effects that like as hypertension and diabetes, the people and mostly the pregnant people they've had, it was added mostly more. And in the next slide, I'll okay, the first is that what's the dementia and Alzheimer in pregnant, and how this new phenomenon can be impressed in the future. Dementia in pregnant is an umbrella term, and the loss of mental function to more areas of the brain can be affected. And because of these bad effects, a lot of skills like language, memory, and judgment, personality, or visual and spatial comprehensions can be affected too. Severe enough to interfere with daily life can be other ones, and damage causes the death and malfunctions of brain cells. And after these maybe malfunctions of the cells, we could make a lot of other side effects too. Medicinal plants in Iran. The first slide that I've told about Iran, that wasn't clear, so that's why these capsules in Iran can be very useful for ourselves. Iran has one of the richest flora in the world, 7,500 species, given that a significant percentage of plant species Iran is made of medicinal plants, so they have a high potential as we regard it today due to the side effects of chemical drugs. People approach to using herbal medicines has increased. According to available botanical sources of Iran, just in Gilan province, now that we're living and staying here, there are around 1,500 plant species that were distinguished, which almost half of these plants are medicinal species that we're using now for consumptions, and directly or indirectly all groups like pregnant or talented women for pregnancy are using them like other parts of the world with a lack of information and knowledge. And now the normal and Alzheimer's shapes of the brain can show easily the lack of different cells that high potential of Alzheimer's, what happened in these frames of the brain, and you can see. Uh, if you let me, I want to tell a little about the herbal drugs of Iran. Herbal drugs are as part of many systematic healthcare around the world. As I've told, WHO suggested that historic and cultural aspects of usage, or maybe the primitive usage of healthcare, must be mixed with the new scientific research on chemical drugs. And because of the lack in the security and capability of herbal drugs, we couldn't say any other ideas and maybe opinions for using them in a very regulated plan. Research into herbs has held, and since herbs cannot be maybe patented, making herbal research beneficiary for medicines and drug companies maybe can have other effects for making these herbal plants. And in Iran, you know, Isfahan and some other parts like Shiraz and here in Gilan, we're making a lot of herbal drugs, but any secure and safety on them couldn't be standardized and normalized by our chemical drugs because of lacking any guarantee or maybe the specific companies or organizations that make any good and worldwide healthcare and maybe guarantee for themselves. In some countries like Germany, however, herbal research is basically supported by grants and contracts to college. Most of herbs therapies have been used for long years in different regions. But you know, in Middle East, absolutely in Iran, we won't have any grants for using these parts for doing research. And European countries are considering to herbs as effective curing in many cases. Although the application of medicinal plants has quadrupled that I've told in 20 years, and the reports of toxicity and usage of herbs in those plants have remained in low levels. Okay, anyway, and next slide, please. Warning signs in pregnant, loathing in memories in the pregnant, brief thought and difficulty with routine tasks in chores, changes in mood and behavior like hormones and sleeping changes, language skills in pregnant, loss of initiative in women, and poor or weak judgment in the actions, personality changes after or during pregnancy, or very warning signs of the pregnant people, generally in Iran and other parts of the world. And next. at first, we wanted to talk around some maybe a special herbal capitals of the medicinal plants here in Iran. But before that, I want to talk about that why the usage of medicinal plants in pregnancy can be effective. Using of medicinal plants by pregnant females increases additional questions about security that I thought for the for those issues. Absolutely, the personal security to the females by themselves. Using the medicinal plants by pregnant females is high. And here in these slides, I've shown you that in different graphs, the people in different countries don't have any clear knowledge for using them too. As we know, herbal exercise with midwifery solutions include ancient links and medicinal plants have been applied and consumed for long years to help in pregnancy and some healthcare issues. Questionnaires of midwives and plans of midwifery in the some countries, like as US, has shown that the suggestions of medicinal plants to pregnant females in outbreak, around half of them that answered applied natural medicines in their diet. The most usual applied supplements were included blue, for example, coach or other herbs that they were using in a day without any knowledge, but that was affected by them. That was amazing for me. But amazingly and surprisingly, after using, they had a lot of good and positive effects of these herbs. Most ordinary regarded medicinal plants were in this and some regarded and considerable papers were black cohosh and red raspberry leaf that I haven't told in this slide, but that was very amazing. The harmful influence related to blue and this black cohosh maybe contain nausea, ricin, maybe meconium stained fluid, and some other ones that I've told. And at the next part, I wanted to tell a little about the Iranian more capable ones that high usage of them, what happened here for them, and the potential of herbs in the field of nausea and vomiting during pregnancy in Iran. You know, the prevalence of nausea is reported to be 50 to 80% and 50% for vomiting and rethinking during pregnancy and loss of working days and decreased quality of life and difficulty in childbirth preparation and declining energy and fatigue are considerable stresses that women with nausea and vomiting of pregnancy can be faced and taking this experience. This science that combined by genetic, okay, endocrine and gastro, maybe the environmental parts, that some psychosocial factors can be affected by these parts because the people and the patients that were using herbal drugs had very various conditions and maybe conditions. I mean, when they were using these herbs, okay, when they were working hardly in a day, they had other and variant effect, and this differentiation between them can be caused by genetics or maybe the environment that they were working. And the current anti-inflammatory drugs to control NVP, nausea and vomiting with the patients and of the pregnancy patients can be classified as vitamins, especially B6 and B1, and anti-dopaminergic drugs that serotonin and antagonistics of them that they had very high effects on them, and some drugs like as anticholinergic and some agents like as promotility and some others they were using by them too, and these parts that they were using in their daily lives could have various effects on them. And the side effects of current anti-inflammatory drugs have turned attention to the use of traditional medicines, and these negative effects of chemical drugs cause that the people tend to use of herbs mostly, and some of these side effects included maybe tardive, maybe dyskinesia with metoclopramide, or headache or diarrhea, and some other ones like as fatigue. And traditional remedies are used by the people of this region, and maybe other regions had increased mostly. Anyway, at the end of my part, I wanted to tell about some specific ones. The first was citrus lemon that I've told in this part, as you know. Citrus lemon, the plant of family Rotaceae, that you know in Iran northern, were one of the region that is center of this part and known as limu in Iran, and has been used as an effectuous that remedy for NVP. I've told nausea and vomiting for pregnancy in TPM, and improves blood flow, brain and heart, and protects against oxidative damage from free radical antioxidants. And in some randomized experimental research on 100 pregnant females had shown that lemon herbs had very crucial oil and maybe great metabolites that had a lot of good and positive effects on pregnant people, especially on for their neurological effects and parts and pressure. And controls with placebo had shown that after using this placebo, that was positive too. Next slide, please. And this is a picture of it. And next one, and citrus medica and Citron. Citrus medica is a plant of family Rotaceae again. It's said to be cold and wet in nature, and medica, known as outrage in TPM, has been used for treatment of NVP and diet of Alzheimer's of women, and before after pregnancy, but mostly the positive effects was mostly after pregnancy. It could be another post diet of pregnant people, and there is little information on the safety of citrus medica fruit concentrate extract in pregnancy. We know that because of various and different response of the pregnant people to maybe most disorders after pregnancy, they couldn't be gathered and collected easily. That's why they were affected by those side effects. And this is another picture that you can see here. And Cydonia oblonga meal, the name of Quince. As you know, the Quince will be used in Iran and Argentina mostly as raw, but in other countries I've heard they can make a jam with that for us, and the people, mostly the pregnant people, will be the good items and characters for using them. The quince is a plant of family Rosaceae, and Cydonia oblonga, known as beh in Iran, is another natural product used in TPM for treatment of NVP. Persian physicians believe that Rosa Cydonia oblonga as quince was useful in treatment of nausea in pregnancy, especially for Alzheimer's disorder. And a clinical trial was carried out in Tehran, Iran, on the effectiveness of Cydonia syrup for treatment of NVP, and that had a very great and positive effects and responses. The result has shown significantly decreased NVP in the group receiving medicinal syrup, that the group of women after pregnancy showed positive results. As we know, phenolic metabolites in these waters can have a lot of great capacities for making these parts able to attacking different and bad effects or negative effects of a disorder, and that was found to be responsible for the majority of the observed biological effects, and were suspected to have an acetylcholine maybe inhibition activity, or which found in this herb. As we know, the biochemical reactions of Alzheimer's disorder can be the most important parts of that because after starting and beginning to make this Alzheimer's or neurological, generally neurological disorder. The biochemical reactions of the patients can be very famous and mostly remarked after using a lot of diets, and step by step we must analyze and check the patients for making them released. And the next slide, if you show that this is the picture of Quince, Rosmarinus officinalis, and rosemary leaf extracts has been suggested to enhance cognition and relieve maybe migraine, headache, and treat insomnia. It plays important role for pregnant. The flavonoids of this part, I guess, nephrine, which is found in high levels in rosmaria, can show the best testing of this herbs for somebody that they had memory losing and they wanted to being added in the memory enhancing properties, and nephrine reverse memory impairment as evident through the novel objects recognition and YMS test. And nephrine inhibited the activity of both acetylcholine and butyl cholinesterase. And moreover, nephrine binding site was found to be the same as donepezil. And rosemary also contains high levels of D-terpenes that are suggested to have antioxidants and the other anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective effects on Alzheimer's patients. That was very remarked and important for them. And for next slide, this is the pick of, for example, the herbs. And next part, it was captured, the last part, the picture was captured here in Gila. And Elletaria cardamom. Cardamom is the member of the family Zingiberraceae, and cardamom, you know, is very important for stomachache disorder, but now we're trying to make it as a part and herbs for pregnant bodies, and known as heal or hell, has been used in TPM as a stomach tonic and for treatment of digestive complaints and NVP. It's said to be warm and dry in nature. That's very important for pregnant that some diet must be warm and dry. And a study by someone's trial of the mixture of 3 essential oils, zingiber officinal, Elletaria, cardamom, and Artemisia, had shown that treatment of perspective of nausea and vomiting had decreased mostly more than 75% in the cases. And clinical trial was performed on 120 pregnant women, and the usage of the capsula containing 500 milligrams cardamom powder and placebo were administered 3 times a day, half an hour before meal, had shown positive effects for them too, and it was one of the best and greatest one and the item for pregnant. And this is a picture of it. The next part. Punica granatum, as I must tell about Punica, the region and the center of Punica granatum in the world is Iran, and pomegranate is a plant of family Elletaria, Punica granatum, known as Anar here in Iran. And you know, Gilan Norsen is the center of wild types of Punica granatum, and some regions like as Yazd or Salve are very famous for their best and greatest pomegranate in the world. Once clinical trial Spearmint, okay, syrup on NYP and Alzheimer's disorder had shown the great effects on them too. And mixing Punica with mint has had nice effects on memory. Punica exhibits an inflammatory effective on receiving or maybe using of maybe other oxygen species that make the good synthesis inhibition. No health hazards are recorded following the proper administrations of designated therapeutic dosages, and it has no effects or bad effects on some patients that had used this part for their usage diets. And anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activity of Conica grantum plays a very vital and crucial role in the Alzheimer's treatment. As you know, before sleeping of pregnant people, that was better because of the good and positive effects of some cases that had shown for better high memory of them for the period of their pregnancy. And next part, this is the picture of it, and beautiful flowers that had captured here in Iran, and Mentha, spicata, and Mentha, piperta, you know, the family of Lamiaceae. All parts are very important and so remarkable. And the leaves of mint known as NA, and they have also been used as an effective drugs in the treatment of NVP and has side effects of treatment on Alzheimer. Said to be warm and dry in nature in a double-blind RCT, the effect of aromatherapy with pure mint essential oil versus placebo was evaluated in 60 pregnant women with NVP, and they had shown very positive effects. As I told in the last events, very side effects of the herbs are not clear, and they are unknown for us, unfortunately, because of lacking the information knowledge. I must tell here about the lacking of knowledge because of sanctions of some countries. You know, Iran hasn't had any good relationship with Iran's government, hasn't had any good relationship with other parts, but the scientific people of Iran hadn't had any problem for what that, why we couldn't have any information about some scientific ones. Unfortunately, when we wanted to share our ideas together, they had told us that we couldn't share because of the sanctions. What it means, the scientific bodies in all parts are free and they're working for all human bodies. Now, like as vaccines for coronaviruses, if you don't like to share your ideas or opinions, you must know and respect to science and let us to know about your information to gather and collect the best information for other papers maybe or other researchers in the future. I criticize here, but I'm very respecting to all parts as absolutely to scientific ones. For conservative nights before sleeping, a bowl of water containing 4 drops of pure mint essential oil was placed on the floor near the beds of subjects in the case groups, or while 4 drops of normal saline were used in the control groups that had shown the positive effects, and the result demonstrated degradations flow in the mint, herb, and rhizome flow in the control group, and regulation of sleep has an impressive effects on Alzheimer's prevention. That I've told in the past, it's very important for pregnant that how and why they must have this regulation for themselves as a sleeping plan, that how and what time they must be slept. And next, this is the picture of the herbs and another suggestions using herbs as supplementary diet before and after pregnancy, getting advice from diet and nutrition experts or doctors who were aware of pregnancy to prevent Alzheimer's disorder, and using herbs based on rules and pre-knowledge of the women who are pregnant. And before pregnancy, using safe herbs as more instead of chemical drugs for pregnant who had primary symptoms of memory loss, dementia, or Alzheimer's disorders. And thanks a lot for hearing our presentation. I'm ready to respond if you have any questions. Thanks a lot. Dr. Noruzi, are you hearing me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Thank you a lot.
Okay, you're
Thanks a
welcome.
lot for your very interesting research. If anyone has any questions, please ask Dr. Alinia. Okay. If there are no questions, thank you so much, Dr. Alinia, for your
You're welcome.
lecture.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. It was amazing. So we are going to go for a half